Lindsay.
Jay.
Lindsay.
Jay.
It's Tuesday.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, I didn't get fired last week.
That's good.
I should probably get fired.
The people are
Or
expecting Bob.
they were expecting Bob, but we got
Uh-huh.
Billy today. Oh, Andy. Right, we forgot. Andy, take it
Andy.
away.
What time is it? What time is it? It's prime time. It's prime time. What time is it? What time is it? It's prime time. It's prime time. Oh yeah! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, it's Tuesday. And you know what that means? It's time to talk about guitars. We get nerdy, we get nutty, but we try to have some fun, right? Tonight we have export sales manager, Mr. Billy Gill.
We've got Frosty and Santa too.
Frosty and Santa, they love to be on Billy's wall, yeah. Say hello to Lindsay Love. Hey, Lindsay.
What's up, Andy? Hey, everybody.
And your humble host, Mr. Jay Parkin.
Humble.
Prime time. Hey.
Yo,
All right.
Andy, did you riff on that right then and there? That was
Yeah.
fantastic. You added some lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just a little bit. I couldn't tell. I could tell it was Santa, but I didn't know it was really Frosty.
Well,
There's
today was the day that I just got festive. I got festive, as Jay.
there's so much spirit coming off your corner right now, that Zoom screen right now. I'm kind of
Oozing.
blinded by the spirit.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
it struck me. I didn't expect that today, so I appreciate it.
Well,
no problem. It didn't. It dawned on me today that it's almost November, which is shocking. Which means it's almost that time of year.
It's almost Christmas.
And I dug in the closet and brought these two homies out.
Billy Gill, ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a treat. Welcome to Taylor Primetime. It's Tuesday night, and we are waving to the feed right now. We love you guys dearly for showing up every single week with us. It is, by the way, it's episode 23. This is a big deal for me, not only because LeBron wears 23 for Lindsay and Billy here. As you can see, I'm wearing a Cleveland hat for the second time. Now, you guys know the rules. I only wear hats that I have doubles of, right? I only have one Cleveland hat because it's a Cleveland hat and I'm a Tigers fan. So with that, you've seen me. I'm wearing this hat. Before we get into Billy Gill, I'm going to change my hat because Billy is a dad and I'm going to put a dad hat on. And this hat is a Quicksand hat. Quicksand is a band that Billy and I grew up on, and we have a wonderful relationship with the fellas in the band. If you've never heard Quicksand and you like heavy music, you should go listen to Quicksand. Their record
Great
Slip,
stuff.
unbelievable. They're wonderful people. They're wonderful humans and an excellent band. So because Billy is a dad, and pretty fresh dad, right? You're a dad of a year now.
Yeah, a year and a couple weeks, but kind of a punk rock dad. As punk as you can get as a dad anymore.
Right. Punk rock dad. We would see, I mean, maybe turn to the side a little and let's see your hair. What is that?
Those are tentacles. You could call those, they're tentacles. But I've always wanted to have kind of a mullet or whatever you want to call it, a Mississippi grapevine, Tennessee top hat.
1090, 10%
yeah.
on top, 90 in the back.
And COVID was the perfect opportunity to do that. Now, once in a while, I do have to clip it back, if it's a...
Lindsay, I used to play a game with some friends called Yep Nope, and the Yep was the non-mullet and the Nope was the mullet. So if I were to ask you, as looking at Billy Gill's hair right now, Yep or Nope?
Yeah. For me, it's going to be the yep.
Yes.
All right. I appreciate that.
Lindsay wins. Okay, awesome. Great. So tonight's episode, as you guys probably got the email, we're talking about the perfect gift. guitar shopping during the holiday season with Billy Gill. But before we get into that stuff, Billy, thanks for being a punk rock dad and joining us on the show. Andy, thank you for your tunes. And Lindsay, thank you for your answer. Yep, because I would agree. I think you should keep the hair. I think it's great.
Is it going to get green like around closer to the holiday time? Like the tentacles, would they get green or red or something?
That would be really punk rock, and we could easily arrange that. I hadn't thought of it, but that's a great idea.
That would be nope.
Lindsay gets the rule on this
Some
one.
green frosty tips.
Yeah, green
I like
frosty
it.
tips. All right, so you know what time it is. Everybody who watches this show we are grateful for you, but you know what time it is, right? We have this little part of the show, Billy, that we call Hug Your Haters. This is where we maybe get some hate and we talk our way through it. We give that virtual hug. Often, Andy, though, has a little bit of a tune for us. Do you have a tune?
Yes, I do have a tune, but what are we hugging or are we hating? Did we get hate? We got no hate. Is that what you said, Jay?
Oh, man, we got no hate. In fact, this is a show the love moment. So you choose which path you want to go down. Ladies and gentlemen, we got no hate. Mom, we got no hate, and I still have a job.
We're going to do it in 6 tonight, Jay.
Okay, please.
All right.
Everybody needs a hug these days. Maybe now more than ever. Remember, keep your hugs distant and virtual.
Possibly.
Please stay safe and coffin to your elbow. We love your love. Text, thanks for showing the love. Yeah, we love your love more than you know. We love the love for this low, no budget show.
That was
Andy,
Beautiful.
that's so good. We need to put out a record. You know what? And Billy Gill and I would say, you need to put out a 7-inch,
Yes. God, 7-inch.
right? So we should do this, and then we'll start a record distro, and then we'll go back to our
Good
punk
idea.
rock
Okay.
roots, and we'll call it a day. Andy, that was beautiful. You teased our love just a little bit tonight in your song. And we get love, we get hate. I truly love the hate, but I love the love more because everybody does. Who doesn't want to get love from people? We've gotten a lot of emails from people that, explaining to us that this low budget Guitar Nerd talk show has gotten them through some tough times, has gotten them through COVID. We have a wonderful group of people who tune in every single week. Rob Seymour, we'd like to give you condolences. Sorry for your loss. We're here with you, and thank you for coming back this week, man. We can't even. So much appreciation there. Thank you. We got an email this week. I got an email from an avid watcher of the show. His name is Tex. You guys know him, and I'm not going to get into the entire email because some of it was a little bit, private, and I don't know if he would like us to talk about it on the air. So I'm not going to do that. But one thing that he really wanted me to do was give a shout out to 3 people. John Piccolo at Piccolo's Music in Helena, Montana. He sold him his first Taylor. Joe Revita, good old Joe,
Big
at
Joe.
Empire Music in Pittsburgh, PA. And Chris McKee at Alamo Music in San Antonio, Texas.
Cool.
He wanted to give a shout out to these folks, these gentlemen who helped him purchase or buy or sold him some of his guitars or find the perfect guitar. So it ties into the topic tonight, the perfect gift, guitar. The gift that keeps on giving is guitar and music, and we all know that. So, Tex, thank you for your email, and thanks for giving a shout out to the fellas. I mean, we love each and every one of these folks that you mentioned. So, thanks for that, and thanks for everybody watching. This is, there's no hug. There's a hug for everybody, but no hate this week. All love.
Hey Jay, can I just interject something?
You totally can.
On the topic of love, I've watched every episode. Okay, I'm a fanboy, even though you guys are my coworkers, and I'm really thrilled to be here. So that's more love. I just put a little love gravy on top of the love.
It's because you're from Cleveland. You got to find something to love, man. And you know what? We appreciate you for being here, Billy. We appreciate you for being here. By the way, 2 minutes of sports is going to get amazing tonight, so stick with us, please. And we got some trivia. We give away stuff at the end of the show, so you got to watch the whole thing. Right now, I kind of want to segue in a similar vein to give a shout out to our customer service. First off, they are the front line. They get every single phone call, and they help you as much as they possibly can. Our production staff in our factory, we hear everybody's message loud and clear. I ordered a guitar months ago and I don't have it yet. I wonder if it'll take this long to get the guitar next time, so on and so forth. We hear you loud and clear. We are back to 100% in El Cajon, so they are working tirelessly to get instruments to you. And trust me, we appreciate them as much as you do. We don't necessarily have an update sometimes on timeline, but guys, we can talk about that a little bit tonight. But the next love that we'd like to show is to our repair department. Lindsay, you came from the repair department.
Yeah.
We got a pretty good email. I don't know who wants to discuss it, you or Andy. But you guys want to take that one?
Yeah, Andy's got it pulled up.
Right.
He got
it.
And Jay, I can't remember if we've talked about it in the past, but our friends in Tecate making all the GS minis and making all the 200 series and all the great baby guitars that are made down there, they're working 7 days a week now because
7 days a week.
Because of distancing guidelines, we can't put as many people in the factory next to one another as we used to be able to. So to try to get our production back up to, to meet our demand, we've gone to 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And to ask those people to change their habits and their lifestyles. They all have families, right? So big shout out to everybody, family who's building guitars to get them out there, right? We appreciate everybody so much. So the message we got today was from our repair department. And right now, we always want to do the very best job we can. We don't want people to send in a guitar and have it sit in our shop for weeks on end and not get anything done. We want to turn it around as fast as possible. But this is just a little note to anybody who might need to know it. We were approaching about 80 guitars that are in the shop right now, and they're actually behind the original estimated completion date. And so the guitars that are coming in now are set for a completion date of 10/8, so we're a little bit slow. We're behind it. And what we would like to ask is that people hold off until the new year to send us new guitars. Because of the COVID situation, we only have 3 people that are working in the shop right now. Same thing, Lindsay, right? How many techs are normally working down there in that room?
Yeah, normally there's like 8.
Right.
8 techs.
So we're just having to spread everybody out to keep everybody safe. And we're trying to get back to the original volume that we were able to fit, the original number of guitars we could fix, but it's not going to happen right now. So effective immediately, we have enough work for the rest of the year, and we're hoping that people can just wait till January 4th to send us new guitars. You can still contact customer service to set up a repair ticket and an appointment and a drop off if you're local for January 4th or later, but we'll reassess this position in this backlog of repairs after the holiday. So thanks for your patience, but we want to, if you've got a guitar that doesn't need to be completely rebuilt and it's still playable, play it through Christmas, play it through the holidays, and we'll get it dialed up in the next year. Okay.
Lindsay, is there another path that they can take? Maybe calling customer service and finding a tech near them?
Yeah,
that could maybe
absolutely.
Help?
Yep. Call customer service. They can get you to a tech near you. They can tell you if, what they're certified in, if it's a certified tech, what level they're at, what they're able to do. I think you can also find that information on our website too, under care. So the care section, you can actually see by city, the techs that are in your area and what they're certified in. So
All around the world too.
all
Around the world.
around the world.
All around the world. Good. There's so many songs with all around the
All
world in it.
around the
Like,
world.
I got one in mind. We shouldn't sing it because we're on Zoom and that would be weird. But before we get into tonight's show, holiday shopping and kind of running through that, I just want to let you guys know. You guys, I'm sure you already know this, but it's bottom of the third, 1-0 Tampa Bay. And okay, we'll go in to the subject line. So holiday shopping. Billy, this is a part of the show where we get to know you a little bit as you've watched every show. So you know the question that's coming next. Billy Gill, export sales manager. By the way, there's two of you.
Yep.
You have the same job title. Maybe you can go into that. You guys are you're weird. Anyway, Billy Gill, expert sales manager. What in the heck do you do?
Did you say expert sales manager or
Export.
export?
And
Oh.
you are an
He said expert. He said
I
expert.
thought you said expert. That's
You aren't. I probably did say expert.
Expert.
I'm drinking coffee.
the Freudian slip. I get it, but hopefully both are true. But I work right alongside Andy, who you guys all know and love, and we really try to bring the not only the product but the messaging of Taylor, our culture, all around the world. And what does that really mean on a day-to-day basis, kind of pre-COVID? We take a lot of really long flights, and we do believe in kind of directly interfacing with our retailers or distributors to collaborate, be creative, and figure out how we can bring the Taylor line to life in markets as far-flung, in my case, is Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore. And Andy and I oftentimes perform road shows together in those markets because we work, right next to each other when we're on the other side of the world. So that's kind of a quick description of what I do, but it is all about bringing our culture and our product into far-flung areas of the world and making sure that the players that know and love our product have the same experience as anybody living in San Diego. And that's what we're really after.
You're not new to music instruments. You came from Seymour Duncan, I believe, right?
Correct. I worked for them. I've had 11 very happy years with them. They are still very, very close family to me. In fact, I exchange text messages almost on a daily basis with the sales team there, Seymour, Kathy, and everybody there. Great company. And then I worked for Warwick for a couple of years in Latin America, and that was really cool. And then the only NAMM show I ever went to without a job was the one that I bumped right into Tom Waters. Hi, Tom, if you're watching. And Tom asked me, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm looking for a job." And as it turns out, Taylor was hiring for a domestic sales position, California and Hawaii. And I went up and I was totally blown away that Taylor had brought the whole HR team to the show, and they were actually conducting interviews at the show, which was something that I had really never thought a company would do, right? Like you kind of say, "Oh yeah, we're looking for somebody, come down to the factory when the show's over." My first interview was that the second day of NAMM in 2010. So I just celebrated 10 years with the company, and love what I do, love the team, love all of you guys, and I love our fans around the world. So
it is pretty awesome to work with you, Billy. You're Billy. I would say, Billy. I think we can all agree, team. Billy's a fantastic dude. It's just fun to bump into you at the coffee maker sometimes.
Yeah,
because
I miss those days. I miss those days.
Sometimes that interaction will make my entire week. No, just throwing that out there. I'm glad to have you. I'm a fan too, Billy.
I
partly because we talk about punk rock all the time, but we'll go from there. You know what? You brought something up real quick. You guys said road shows. One of the questions that we got in email this week was, when will we resume road shows? Do you guys have any clue what that looks like, or can you speak to that, Billy?
I think that's kind of changing the information that we get as a company, as individuals every day, really it's whack-a-mole right now, right? We have basically in the last 72 hours, our friends, shouts out to the Acoustic Center, Cranber Music, and Casey's Rock Shop in Melbourne, Australia, one of my markets. It's the 28th of October there. And congratulations to Victoria for opening back up after a very lengthy additional lockdown. And concurrently, Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, also one of my markets, just went back into lockdown. So I say all that to say that we don't really know. We're going to do it when it's prudent, when it's safe, and when wherever the road shows are being hosted, there's really no way to give you an accurate date. Rest assured that we all do want to get it back out there because, a road show in terms of holiday buying, and I've done a lot of around Christmas time road shows, you couldn't pick a better environment because we typically supplement dealer inventories with guitars that we brought in. We kind of try to bring the catalog to life so you get a chance to put your hands on just about everything that we make. So I would call a road show around Christmas the ultimate kind of place. So to choose your next guitar, and we really hope that we can get back to that as soon as possible. As to when that'll be, I could tell you a date right now, but it could end up being 3 weeks sooner or 3 years later. I don't know.
Excellent. You know what? I got a question in the feed. Why don't you do a virtual road show? That, my friend, would be my job. Gabe, get ready. All right. So we may or may not do that. And knowing that you guys want a virtual road show, I brought two of the kings of the road show on to the show tonight. I first saw Billy Gill's road show, and I was absolutely, when I was new at Taylor, I maybe had worked there for 3 weeks, and there was a road show at one of our more San Diego Solana Beach store, Music Mart. Yeah. And I was, I had heard of the road show. I had never seen one before, so I wanted to go check it out. And I went. And Billy was hosting, and you had Wayne Johnson as your product specialist. By the way, if you've seen Wayne Johnson play, he's
amazing. Yeah.
I'm speechless. Like, he's so incredibly talented.
Yeah, I'm gonna just go ahead and deflect your praise. It's kind of hard to do a bad show with Wayne, right?
Yeah, and you, who delivers the information so precisely, and just, I learned so much about Taylor going to that roadshow. It was fantastic that I thought it was perfect. We thought it was perfect to bring you on the show and talk about holiday guitar shopping and holiday guitar buying. So we're going to lean heavily on the sales gentlemen in the feed tonight. But let's go through buying a guitar in the holidays. And by the way, I'll link it in the feed in a second. We on the marketing team put together what we call a holiday buying guide every year on our website. In fact, if you go to taylorguitars.com, it shows up pretty front and center on our website when you go there. But what we do is we like to break down the idea of, what does that look like? There are many different reasons why you might be shopping for a guitar for the holidays. Could be because you are awesome and you want to treat yourself to something amazing. Lindsay, if I were you, I would buy a guitar this year, by the way. You deserve it.
Yeah? Okay. On my list. On my list.
And I have a couple that you should get. So we'll talk after the show. I know where you can get one. But, or buying a gift for a significant other, or buying a gift for a kid, or a beginner, or an experienced player. There's so many different things that we have to think about. So right now, we're going to bring as much of the roadshow, the holiday roadshow, to you as we possibly can. So after this episode, we ask, share this with anybody looking to buy a guitar right now. We will at least, Taylor or not, we will hopefully give you some compelling information, and you can take that away with you and know what to do. So Billy, shopping during COVID, this is different. How do we shop during COVID when a guitar is like a very tactile thing? Like, you need to go grab it and hold it, so people think. right? What would you suggest, or do you have any opinion there?
Well, I do, and my opinion is not necessarily law. There's people that can just kind of pick up a guitar and more easily fall in love. There's people that are really, really focused on the detail and finding the perfect instrument for them. So this is all completely subjective, as is most things in the guitar world, and this is by no means just concrete fact. I will say that of all of the musical instruments that I've played and bought and loved, perhaps the most romantic and personal is an acoustic guitar. It's even more than a piano. It's something that you don't someone doesn't typically roll a piano down to the beach and play it under a palm tree. So kind of the portability of it, the fact that it can just right out of its case or bag can just be your best friend and music making partner wherever you are in the world, makes it really the most romantic and most personal, in my opinion, of all the instruments. So a lot of people really obsess or really give a great deal of thought and time into finding something that is the perfect match for them. So a lot of our dealers partners are finally open back up around the world, as I mentioned, and in my opinion, there's a number of ways to get around it, your head around it. But the best way is to go kind of pet every puppy in the store if you can, if you have the ability to do that. Now, if you're giving a gift, that is that opens up a whole nother list of challenges. There's other routes you can go there, but for me, I would have to play a guitar that I was going to buy for myself. And incidentally, around the holiday times, this is kind of funny that I'm on this episode because I always go out intending to buy gifts for other people, and I just end up buying stuff for myself. Is that a terrible thing to do?
I'm the same way. The same way.
Why do I do that?
Selfish. We're selfish.
I know.
It's okay though.
I buy things for everybody else.
Oh man, Black Friday. I love going out for myself on Black Friday.
Really? Let's get into Black Friday in a minute, because I think that maybe there's some subject line here that we could discuss. Okay, so go out to shop. So Billy, would you say I might skip around here for a second, but bear with me. So now you're buying a gift for somebody else. You just mentioned there's a bunch of challenges. What are those challenges?
Well, you have, in many cases you have, hopefully you can, what we use is qualifying questions a lot when we're working with somebody at a roadshow. It's a great way to learn how to narrow down the dazzling amount of choices. If you go into a well-stocked guitar store, before you even get to Taylor, Martin, Gibson, you're just blown away, right? It's the wall of 500 guitars. Some of them are $50, some of them are $50,000. What's the difference? Right? It's kind of like mattress shopping. You can get a $99 mattress or a $9,999 mattress. What's the difference? So, arming yourself from any manufacturer's website. We've got some excellent resources at Taylor to kind of show you. We typically work under the umbrella of body shape plus tone woods. That starts to narrow the choice down. Player profile, we call it your bone tone. How you naturally sit down and begin to play guitar. Is it with a heavy gauge pick and a super heavy hand, medium strings, and you're never really having fun until you're playing as hard as you can? That's kind of a player like me. Coming from a punk rock background, right? It's focused on downstroke, and it's definitely, I'm that kind of guy. So maybe a smaller body, narrower body depth instrument is not optimal for me. I happen to be tall. Ergonomics are a huge part of this. So if you go in to buy a gift for somebody that has shorter fingers, is of slighter stature, and has a really light touch, plays with the tips of their finger or a super light gauge pick, a good guitar store with a good inventory is going to be able to take that information and translate it into narrowing down the choices. It can be really overwhelming, again, to look at that wall of 500 guitars and go, I don't even know where to begin, right? So if you can have that qualifying information, you don't want to blow the surprise. If it's going to be a surprise, you just want to say, I'm buying a guitar for my sister. She's 5'2". She's got short, smaller fingers, and she is really, plays the guitar very delicately. A great guitar store with good inventory is going to go right away. let's look over here. And when you additionally give them information about my budget is $1,000, that's really going to help a good salesperson narrow the choices down for you. So you don't need to blow the surprise. You don't need to go into your sister's room and say that you're going to buy her guitar. Which one do you want? But you can really make an intelligent, you can amass information that helps the salesperson really pare it down.
Yeah. Andy, have you ever had any experience where, I mean, you came from retail and somebody walked in and said, "Hey, I'm buying a guitar for my kid. What should I get?" Often that's how the question goes, right? Like,
Right.
what should I get? How would you navigate a question as simple as that?
Yeah, and then the statement right after that is, I don't want to spend too much because I don't know if they're going to stick with it.
Right.
Right? That's the next statement.
Right.
And then it got to a point where I heard that for years, where I finally just said, well, if you don't get anything good, they won't stick with it. And it's true. So why not save your money and get something that somebody is going to want to have and can be successful at? That's really important, right? Give them the opportunity. Jay, you're a huge sports guy. So like when you have a little leaguer and you give him a huge bat to swing, is that gonna work? No, not at all. Same thing Billy's talking about, right? So these days you can buy such nice guitars for not tons of money. They're not the cheapest thing you can buy for a gift, but you can spend somewhere between $400 and $1,000 and get a guitar that will last forever if you take good care of it, right? And one thing that I can say working for Taylor Guitars and selling Taylor Guitars before I was part of the staff was that I was super confident that I could take any Taylor guitar anybody purchased and set it up in a way that they would love the way it played, and it would allow a beginner to be successful at it because of the NT Taylor neck. And that's part of Roadshow, right, Billy? That we talk about that all the time. And that is an important factor right now when you may not feel comfortable going into a store to try something how it feels. And also if you're a beginner, just know that any Taylor guitar has an NT neck on it, which means you can adjust the neck angle in relation to the body so that your action is perfect. And that's really important for a gift because it's something that you're going to keep forever, hopefully.
Not surprisingly, I went through the holiday guide in the last couple of days on our website, and the very first kind of bullet point in that guide is playability. That's kind of where Taylor Guitars, that was really the main drive of the company at its earliest stages, was to produce a guitar that had superior playability. And I think that is still definitely ingrained in all of our product, regardless of Andy's significant, revamp of so many different models and so many new models like the Builder's Edition. Playability is the thing for a beginner. If it's tough to play, if it's perpetually going out of tune, if it's a really nuanced instrument, you're increasing the odds that somebody's not going to stick with it. So,
I shortly after I started at Taylor, I moved out to San Diego before my family did. So at one point I went back. They were in Chicago, so I went back and grabbed the big giant U-Haul and drove everything out here. And when I went back, Andy worked at the Buffalo Grove Sam Ash. And of course, I'm working at Taylor now, so I'm going to go in and talk to my dudes that I used to work with. However, there was only one left because it's music retail and that's how it works. So I walked in there and there was a young man in there who was, he had gotten some Christmas money and his mother said that she was going to match him for whatever guitar he wanted. But of course there was a budget, right? And so he had a couple of other brand guitars and he wanted an acoustic guitar. Billy was just funny. He came from like kind of a hardcore background, right? So same kind of aggressive style of playing. And I'm proud to work at Taylor. So I walk in at that moment and I see the guitar in his hand and I see him muscling it, like struggling with it. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, I'm going to do the thing. And I grabbed, and I'm talking budget. Budget was like $600 to $700 So I grabbed at the time, I believe I grabbed a 110E, took it off the wall. I explained the neck to him, put it in his hands, and he ended up buying it. And we exchanged information. I also gave his mother a card of mine. And I said, if you guys have any questions, just let me know. 2 years later, I got an email to my tailor email address that said, hey, by the way, I still want to say thank you for that because he still plays acoustic guitar. He doesn't play that metal crap anymore. Right? And so
So
you
did you
got to
feel
think.
good or bad about that, Jay? Because he's not rocking like he as heavily as he used.
No, he's not rocking like that. And I was like, I probably replied with, metal's not crap. I got instantly defensive on the metal part, but no, but it goes to show that it's a good segue to talk about budget, right? Budget is everything but playability, right? How is the guitar going to be for somebody? Andy has said you want to pretty much your first guitar should be your best guitar if you think about it, right? Because you want to stay with it and always play it. But budget, sales guys in the room, what do you do about budget? Do you just go in and go? I mean, some people have, I got 10 grand to buy my significant other a guitar. Most people don't. What do you do? How do you plan out your budget?
So I'll kind of start us out here on this one. Andy and I work in various markets of the world that are not too similar to the U.S. market, where the average price point might be much higher than a country like the Philippines that I work in. But I think it's on either a consumer or a salesperson helping a consumer to understand what you get, even if you're buying a Taylor. For instance, there's a lot of great guitars out there from a lot of friends of ours that build guitars from small to big, and we love them all. If you're a guitarist, you love them all. But understanding the difference under the hood with everything from our babies to the most expensive custom in the world, the adjustability for playability and for serviceability is something that, if you asked a person, okay, you want to buy a guitar for $500 and that's your maximum budget. If you can explain to somebody why spending $750 is going to get them a guitar that has superior playability out of the box, but more importantly, guitars when they move out into the world are typically we can never make a perfect guitar. We try to get as close to perfect at final assembly as we can. But once that guitar leaves to far-flung areas of the world, to Hawaii or to the Philippines or to places with super dry climates or super wet climates, the guitar is really going to quickly start to move towards more imperfect, right? So if you understand that $750 or whatever, as opposed to $500, is going to get you a guitar that's going to be more easy to own, more fun to own, and is not going to require a really, really expensive, extensive rework in the event that it's going to, move quickly away from perfect, that helps a person kind of get their head around, do you want to pay the money 6 months from now when an instrument that doesn't have these features begins to move towards imperfect, or do you want something do you want to pay a little bit more now for something that's going to serve you for the entire life of the guitar much more fun and easily?
Right. Andy, you got anything to follow up with that?
Yeah, and also like if you think about, maybe the budget's $300, okay? But if you figure out a way to buy a $600 or $700 guitar, that seems like, oh my gosh, that's twice as much, right? Very rarely do I come across, and I don't know if Billy can back me up on this too, but very rarely do I meet somebody like down the road who's like, man, I never should have done that. I don't ever hear that. I hear people say, I'm so glad that I changed, that I put in a little bit more money. That 300, that doubling that budget from 3 to 6 at the time seems like a huge amount, but $300 over the course of a year or 2 years or 3 years, that's nothing. You're going to forget completely about it. And if that person is still playing and still excited and thinking about their next one, and then the investment was right. There are things I think that you can, that we can all waste money on. Sounds like Billy does that a lot around the holiday times, you know, and I know he's been buying lots of presents for little Waylon, his little boy, right now. But a guitar is not one of them. A guitar is something that, again, take good care of it. You can keep it forever. And how many things can you say that about, you know?
I would say also, you know, with regard to budget, certainly in the US and a lot of other markets in the world, there's some really, really incredible financing options, right? Interest free for, you know, 6, 12 months. You know, good stores that have good inventory and good plans and good financing options, you can really start to easily say, like, I came in the shop to spend $500 and, you know, slap my money down on the counter today, but I'm actually going to buy a $1,000 guitar because I'm going to have 12 months of interest-free payments. So, you know, knowing all of the financial tools that are available to you while you're shopping is really something cool. And a lot of our partners around the world do have offerings like that. So starting to get to know those a little bit can help make the anxiety of being so focused on a price point feel a little bit easier, right?
Yeah, and I'll say one more thing, Jay, is that, and this doesn't even really relate to so many products that we make, but don't crush the enthusiasm of a beginner. In other words, if somebody wants to be in a metal band and they want to get a pointy guitar and they want to get played with, they want to tune it down to C, and they want a head bob in their bedroom, let them do it. Don't go buy them a nylon string guitar. At the time, because eventually they'll get to the point, like the kid you met, right? He's already done that. Now he's like, I wonder what acoustic's all about. But if somebody wants to play electric guitar, and maybe it's not the parents' thing, or it's not the gift giver's thing, you got to know that. You got to kind of respect that. That's what the drive is, to make music, and eventually they might come around to becoming a nylon string classical guitar player. Who the heck knows? But don't take that opportunity away when the enthusiasm is there, especially for a young person.
Yeah, that's a good piece of advice right there for sure. And don't crush the enthusiasm of a beginner. I mean, that was my next question. Was what do you do for a beginner, right? You know, I think you just gave us the advice. I think we can move on to the next one. Figure out what the person wants to do, and kind of lean into that a little.
You know, I have a lot of friends that play electric guitar in you know, professional touring bands, but it's really amazing how much you know, ideas are worked out on acoustic guitars, right?
Yeah.
A lot of seriously heavy metal or hard rock. You know, I think a lot of people would be surprised to figure out that a lot of that was penned on an acoustic guitar, sitting on a couch, working it out while a guitarist is watching TV, or, you know, just kind of spacing out. They're not always writing through a 412 cabinet with a 100-watt head, right? So,
right.
I mean, it's pretty special. Lindsay, when did you first start playing guitar, and do you remember getting that first instrument?
Yeah, my dad was an instrumentalist, so he had tons of instruments in the house. I started playing when I was around 10 and 11, obviously more seriously. I think I got in trouble at school, so 11 more seriously, and then started classical. So my first guitar, like playing, was a classical, a nylon guitar. Still have it to this day.
Really?
I have all my guitars.
I learned something about Lindsay. We were filming some content, and you can check her out on our Instagram if you want to hear her play. She's holding the new updated 814 CE right now on Instagram, live on Instagram. Not really live, but you know,
that would be weird if she was live on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be weird. But Lindsay told me, she's like, my dad made me play guitar as punishment.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad's pretty cool.
You remember that? Yeah, it was a punishment, but I liked it. So jokes.
I didn't get punished. My mom just said I had to play this hand-me-down clarinet first. You know, and then we moved on to other instruments later in life. But you know what? I backed that. My mom kind of was like, well, we have this. Try it. And I was like, that is the silliest instrument in the world. And then I moved on to saxophone, tenor saxophone to be exact. And
That was my first instrument,
yeah,
saxophone.
and I loved it. I thought I was like so.
Hated it.
Are you kidding? It was like I was,
Lindsay, I was saxophone was one of my early instruments too, and we just
Yeah.
all had to pick an instrument. And I remember at one of the student Christmas shows, I guess I would have been in about 4th grade. I never practiced because I hated it, and our band director, I still remember the guy's name, Les Hedges. He so during the Christmas performance, I just sat in the saxophone section and just puffed my cheeks out, but didn't make any. Didn't play a note, and I got called in, after the performance. The next time I went into the band room, he sat me down and said, "Do you think that I'm not, I'm not? You didn't. I knew exactly what you were doing. You didn't play a note." I was like, "Yes, I did. You're just louder than me." So I got busted.
That's so good.
Thank you, band teachers.
Yeah.
Thank you, band teachers.
How much you put? Thank you.
Thank you, parents who force us to play
Oh
instruments.
my God.
We appreciate you. So budgets, we got budgets. We got beginners, we got extras. So now let's talk one more real quick. Now you got somebody, this is the last thing, and then we'll dive into Q&A. You got somebody who's like a total smoking player, a pro, somebody who's been doing this forever. And it's like one of those scenarios where you're like, what do I buy? How do I buy a gift for somebody who has everything? Right? So now you're shopping for like that expert who's got everything, and you know that they want a tailor in this case. What do you start thinking about? What are those secret questions, asking for a friend questions that you pose before going shopping for an expert?
I'm going to go ahead and maybe just drop the dreaded G word, like kind of gift card might be appropriate. It's not quite as fun. I was actually thinking about this today. We have a lot of, partners that sell our guitars around the world. And if you do have a neighborhood tailor shop, it could be really cool to just go ask the shop for an empty box. And so you get the thrill of the big wrapped up wrapping paper, and it's an empty box, but inside the huge box is a card that says you have this amount of money to spend at the shop or partner of your choosing. But that could be a fun way to still have the big box under the tree, but let them go on that journey, because the more guitars that you own, right, the more precise the holes that you're trying to fill in your line, whether that's a mahogany top guitar versus a spruce, or a nylon string, as opposed to steel. The more guitars you have, the more difficult it is and more nuanced to find a guitar that's going to fit into your collection. And I do want to just jump back to beginners for just a sec, because we were talking a lot about, beginners and the Academy series is the reason, the real driving design behind those models was to have the ultimate first time guitar. So I would never pass up an Academy 10 or an Academy 12 or 12 nylon with no preamp, right? That's more or less $500. And that is a heck of a lot of guitar. It kind of has everything a great guitar needs and nothing that it doesn't. I think that's the reason why those have been hugely successful around the world.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I think it might have been you, Andy, in a previous episode, maybe the Mike Osman episode, where you said, get them the biggest guitar that they can handle because they will grow into it. Was that you, or was that Osman?
That was Osman. Awesome.
Okay. Do you guys agree with that? Because in the feed, we've had a lot of, you can't go wrong with a GS Mini. Can't go wrong with a GS Mini. I might agree with you on that one, but how do you guys feel about size for that beginner?
Andy, go ahead.
I would disagree with it, but I think Mike was talking about kids. I think he was talking about kids and what should you get them? And his response was, get the biggest one they can handle, because they're going to grow into it, I think is what he was talking about. I would answer Billy's question for those who are a little bit more adventurous, really don't want to give them an empty box with a card. I like the idea though, Billy. It's a good idea. But if I think that you can, you can snoop around a little bit, and you'd probably, for somebody who's been playing for a long time, it is, I agree with what Billy said. It is a little bit more difficult because they're going to have a preference already developed more than a beginner will, right? So, but you can snoop around a little bit, like, when if this person's listening to a record, you can be like, hey, what is that? What kind of guitar does he play or she play? Um, why does he play it on this song? You could kind of figure out, maybe even get them to talk about, yeah, that's kind of what, I don't have one of those yet. That's kind of what I'm thinking about. And you'd have to be kind of sleuthy, covert about it, but it might be kind of fun to play that game. I think most people who got a guitar who didn't know they were going to get a guitar, I mean, who's going to take that back? That I don't know. I would never take that back. It would have to be really, really bizarre for me to take a musical instrument as a gift back.
Yeah, that could be awkward.
That would be awkward. All right, let's keep this moving. Let's dive into some Q&A. We got some Q&A from the email that came in, and we have some over here in the feed. So I'll let Lindsay kick it off with Q&A. And I think a lot of the questions that we're going to get can be answered by multiple people. So maybe raise your hand if you want to take the question or answer the question. But
Hey,
Lindsay,
before we do
question?
Q&A, well, it's kind of cute. It's Q&A, but before I go to the sheet, I just had a question because it's COVID, and you might, I don't think you fully went in on this, and people might not be able to get into the shops and tell the salesman the principles and the characteristics of the player that that you were mentioning. What should is there something they should be looking for in the product description that would help them break that down? Like, okay, you might want to look for a V-shaped neck or a C-shaped neck or whatever. Like, is there something that they should be looking for?
I think with regard to the Taylor website, we've cultivated a lot of great resources. Some of them visual, so you can see the body shapes. We have the Find Your Fit brochures is one of the most succinct ways, in my experience, to kind of move through the product line without having your hands on guitars, and at least have an idea that if and when you do get into a shop, or a big plug for a lot of even our web partners these days, Taylor Guitars playability out of the box, our repeatable build quality. In other words, no guitar is exactly the same, but boy, you if you bought 10 814 CEs and lined them all up, they're really going to have very close to the same characteristics with regard to sound and playability. So as many different guitars as I own, Taylor has that legacy of repeatable build quality, and each guitar being very, very close to the next one. And a lot of our retail partners, if you can't get to a shop, if the COVID lockdown is happening in your area of the world, a lot of these shops, as long as you're very careful with the instrument, have very generous return policies where you can try it at home and you can play it in your underwear and record it into your rig and figure out if it's right for you. And if it's not, it can go back very safely and very easily. So that's kind of one of the really cool conveniences of the modern world, is that you can, you would sacrifice the inventory assortment in a big acoustic room, but if you read our website, read that Find Your Fit manual, you probably have a pretty good idea, like small body player, lighter touch. I'm really curious about the Grand Concerts and the Grand Concert 12 frets. I think that's going to be a really good choice for me. You can really start to narrow down something that is probably going to work. It's amazing because Andy and I have done so many retail events, and I'm sure that many of my friends were emailing earlier, hey, you're going to be on Primetime tonight. I've worked through this exercise in real life with just countless amounts of players. And it's funny, great guitar stores will do this as well. They just watch somebody play for 5-10 minutes without asking any questions at all. And then they come over with 2 guitars that they selected because they were just quietly watching the person. And it's amazing when you put that guitar in somebody's lap because you have you have the information that you need from watching them approach guitar, and you put a mahogany cedar 12 fret in their hand and they're like, it's amazing. It's perfect. Right.
Yeah.
So
I love it. We got Tobias. Let's go with Tobias real quick. Paul, We love that you come to this show every single week. He's probably watching it on the big screen, drinking some whiskey right now, which is fantastic. But he said playing in your underwear disqualifies you from a return policy. So throwing that out there, Billy, you just gave some bad information,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah,
Paul called
sorry.
you out.
Sorry.
Let's dive into some Q&A
Let's do
so
it.
that we can keep this thing moving.
it.
A fantastic show. Thanks, Billy, for all your help, and Andy,
Yeah, no problem.
your expertise in shopping for the holidays. Hook me up here, Lindsay.
Let's do it. Yeah, this question's from Bradley. It says, what are the holiday specials Taylor will be running in the coming months? I love that I just always pick questions people
We don't offer specials like retail specials. I mean, our specialty is getting guitars to stores. That's what we do. Sometimes we will participate in offering financing, helping with financing, but we don't do direct sales to consumers. So the specials are kind of up to the retail network to figure that out. And we're just working hard just to make sure that there's enough guitars in the stores right now.
That's
There's
right.
been a lot of guitars purchased in the last 7 months.
Yeah, and just just the way that the world is set up, this each store is responsible, obviously, for whatever the transactional pricing is to consumer. We don't have any say in that at all. So, but yeah, the financing would be the most obvious option.
Yeah.
All right, got a question in the feed from Wolfgang. By the way, Wolfgang is a fantastic name. Just throwing that out there. Anybody named Wolfgang is probably awesome. Hopefully. I'm looking for a 12-string under $2,000. What do you recommend for an average player?
150E for me. I have no idea what his ergonomic measurements are. That's a wider bodied, larger, traditional square-shouldered dreadnought, but it's kind of hard to beat. If ergonomically you can sit and play it comfortably, that's a heck of a lot of 12-string guitar for sub $1,000. We also have really leaned heavily into smaller bodied 12-string 12 frets. So really those are starting in the 300 series, you have just magical sounding instruments that are narrower body depth, smaller body shape. They kind of fit everybody. Super easy to play, and because of the 12 fret construction, you get an immense amount of sound out of a very small, comfortable, ergonomically approachable guitar size. So I would go 352, 362, or the 150E.
Nice.
Great.
Got a question, Andy?
Yeah, I got a question from Barbara. She says we'll be talking about the new Taylor GT. Since we can't really play them before buying, it would be great to hear it played and then play the same thing on a couple other models, which is exactly what we do at road shows, Barbara. And so we can't do that right now. She says, though, this leads into this is a good follow-up on what we've been talking about. As a shorter woman, this guitar looks very interesting to me for its size and comfort as well as sound. So, Barbara, I have one here. And Jay, if I can have a minute or two, I will play it a little bit for Barbara. But I'm not going to compare it. And I have to say also, Barbara, that Zoom is the worst, possibly the worst audio interface to listen to and compare guitars on. But I can tell you that this particular guitar is super comfortable to play if you're shorter and of shorter stature. I think that this guitar would be amazing. And it would be an amazing guitar, really, for anybody to play. But see if we can get some good internet connection here. There you go.
So
That's
Andy,
actually, that's
Andy,
probably actually, go ahead.
so Frosty really liked that, and Santa was surprised at how good it sounded. You can see it from the expressions on their
Did
face.
Frosty speak or just kind of twitch or move a button or a nose or something? Or?
The smile just got really deep, a deep V curve.
I'll have to watch the replay and check that out. I'm glad to hear that, Billy. Thank you for sharing that.
Lindsay, would you like a quote? Oh, by the way, bottom of the fifth, 1-0, still Tampa Bay. Okay. Lindsay,
Here we
got
go.
a question?
Yeah, Jordan wants to know: Are tone woods really that important to consider when you're choosing a guitar for yourself?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Hugely important. Hugely important. And I would also, I would also just go on to say that the wood on the top of your guitar is really going to be the primary influencer of that guitar's acoustic sound, because once you plug a guitar in and you've got all your knobs and switches and sliders and speakers, you can really kind of manipulate how a guitar sounds to a room or to your ears or to the audience ears. But boy, the top wood, cedar versus redwood versus mahogany versus spruce, hugely important. So definitely a big difference on back and sides, but the top wood is really going to dramatically impact the guitar's acoustic sound.
Sorry, I laugh sometimes in the middle of your answers because then I see this comment over here. Mark just wrote, "I'm so glad I bought an 810 Dreadnought in 1998. Divided it out over 22 years. It's cost less than $100 a year.
Yep.
A fantastic bargain."
Awesome. There you
Perfect.
go.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
There you go, guys. You got to get a guitar. They last forever if you take care of them. Because why, Lindsay? Humidity.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
All right, Andy, you got a question?
From John, says, I have several Taylors. I love my Mini for travel, and I have it at my office, and I even play it at church. I'm excited to hear the new GT, but I was hoping that it will be offered in a cutaway version. Any plans for that? John, the people who make that decision about cutaways and non-cutaways would be Andy Powers and Bob Taylor. We don't have an answer to that, but there are no plans for that right now, and I don't know if we'll see it. I think we'll see other models in the GT shape in the future, but there's no plans for cutaway right now.
Okay, Andy, but what does the GT sound like when I play it?
Who is that? Is that Barbara?
No, we got one from John
Oh.
in the feed. Lindsay, do you got a question?
Yes. Yeah. It's let's see, who's this? I'm sorry, I lost it. There we go. Bob wants to know, can you speak to the tonal differences between the 912 CE and I think they're saying in the Builder's Edition, that same model, but the Builder's Edition, the 912 CE Builder's Edition.
Yes, the Builder's Edition, which is kind of starting to be a product line within our product line. These are all the Builder's Edition suite of guitars is really designed to have really cool, tangible features that make the playing experience much more comfortable. So for those that don't know, the chamfered edges, the rounded edges on every edge of the guitar's body, the rolled in fingerboards on the Grand Pacifics, the silent satin finish, and the contoured cutaway are really kind of ergonomic differences, because a 912 and a 912 Builder's Edition, there are differences, but the basic tone woods are the same. I will also say that there's just, I don't know how to characterize it, because I can't download everything that Andy Powers put into the Builder's Edition. There's just a little bit more fairy dust in them. They just have some sort of otherworldly, magic. And I don't know if he just goes through the factory and sprinkles that magic on the Builder's Edition stuff, but to my ear, they sound a little bit more open, just a little bit more kind of alive in your lap. And that would be the best way that I could describe the differences, because in terms of basic tone woods, there is the list of ingredients read very similar. But holding both guitars in your lap, you will immediately feel the difference in terms of just getting your arms and body around the guitar.
I like how you said you can't download everything that Andy Powers puts into it. It's a good way to say it. Spending a lot of time with Andy, I'm diving a little bit more into that guitar in particular. The Builder's Edition 912 CE is it's not only is the design just a little bit obvious different with the chamfered, with the cutaway and the chamfered edges and the fingerboard, rolled fingerboard, so on and so forth. But the way he's designed the internal architecture of that guitar, you can actually give it a lot more. Where our smaller body guitars, sometimes you hear that they choke out a little. That guitar was really meant to kind of hammer on.
Yeah.
Andy Powers would say in his mind, it's the perfect acoustic guitar for electric guitar players. So if that gives you a little bit more to go on. We got a question here from the email from Tom. I purchased a new 416 CER in July of 2019, and now this model no longer seems to be offered. Could you tell me why it was discontinued?
The Grand Symphony was, as Andy kind of worked his way through each one of our body shapes and put significant, tonal enhancements into them. The Grand Symphony was one of the last shapes to transition. In fact, I believe it was the last of our full-size body shapes to transition. And while we don't yet offer a 416, which the 6 would refer to the body shape in our kind of decoding what each Taylor model is. The Grand Symphonies were relaunched at NAMM this year. And typically when we do relaunch something, we don't go 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, on and on and on. We chose to debut an 816 CE Builder's Edition and a K26, which would be an all Hawaiian Koa version of the Grand Symphony. Obviously the sound port and the cutaway, very dramatic differences, but it is still a Grand Symphony. I don't know if and when we'll get back to offering a 416, but that would be a really cool model. The latest, beyond the 2 NAMM offerings that I mentioned, the 326, which is a mahogany top, dramatically different tone, was released just a month and a half ago. So the Grand Symphonies, to answer your question, are slowly but surely kind of filling out. There's 3 models there now. I don't know what's in store for the future, but that shape is back, albeit redesigned.
Thank you. Anybody have any more questions? You want to do one question each for you two, and then we'll dive into Sharpie's question, 2 minutes of sports and trivia?
Yep.
Awesome. Andy?
Good. This is a good timely question from Joe in Denver, Colorado. During the summer months, I have a whole house swamp cooler that provides great humidity. The winter months are challenging. Without running a humidifier, it will stay around the mid-20s humidity. So that's a problem, Joe. That's a problem for your 324. He says he uses Oasis humidity inserts, but what else would you recommend? At what humidity levels do I need to worry? So, Joe, one of the most important things that you can invest in is a little digital hydrometer that you can put.
And you're at 23 there, buddy.
I know, but I was gonna say, you know why that is? You know why that is this week? Because we got Santa Ana's coming in hard, right? Yep. Over the weekend, it was 49 here. So I know I've got most of my stuff put away. So I'm paying attention to it. Luckily, Joe, we won't deal with that for 3 or 4 months like you will. So get a little digital hydrometer. If you keep all your guitars in one room, you'll put that hydrometer in the room. You'll know what's going on. And the way that you can help even more, in addition to your Oasis humidity controllers, your inserts, would be to get a little room humidifier from Lowe's or Home Depot or your favorite local hardware store, and put all your guitars in a closet, put them all in a room, put the gauge in there, set it, and when you can control it, and it's around 40 to 50 to 60, you'll be okay. To answer your question, below 30 is kind of dodgy, and you don't want to expose a guitar to this for very long, because it'll dry out and it'll crack your 324.
Bingo.
Thank you.
Oh man, there's a couple good ones left. I think I'm gonna
go for 2.
I'm torn.
You got 2.
Torn. You sure?
You got 2.
I mean,
go
wow,
for
I
2.
feel lucky. All right. David sent the email in, so I definitely want to get this one. He says, I've seen many Taylor guitars, and I own one of the 224 Koas, which he really enjoys. But what he loves most about a guitar is the warm sound instead of kind of the highs, the brilliance. And so he's wondering, can you suggest a guitar that we make that might have those warm tone woods?
300 series with a mahogany top or 500 series with a mahogany top is where I'd go right away. Depending on body shapes, there's a couple different body shapes, but a 524 CE or a 324 CE Builder's Edition, which
Yep.
is, kind of has the latest and greatest, the story of the urban ash, very cool list of ingredients. Both of them will have tropical mahogany tops, which are going to be the most compressed, warm, smooth, balanced top woods that we make. So
Perfect.
I would start at mahogany top.
Perfect. I also, if I could add, I think the Grand Pacifics have such a nice warm tone profile. One of my favorites.
Yep.
And then another good question from Craig in the chat says, how does a T5 series guitar play action, like the neck, compared to like our 300 series? Is it maybe more like a Strat or Les Paul or like an acoustic? So I think they want to know our T5s, how do they feel?
Andy, I'm gonna hand this one to you, but I will say that the T5, the neck profile is unique to the T5. In fact, in the acoustic side of our product line, you have the ability to order that neck profile on an acoustic guitar. So we call that the T5 profile. But Andy's recorded.
The profile Billy is mentioning is the distance between the top of the fingerboard to the back of the curve here, right? So on a T5, that's shallower than on a 300 series guitar, Lindsay. And also, it doesn't feel at all like playing an acoustic guitar. It's an electric guitar. It uses electric guitar strings. It has a non-wound G string. Feels more like a Strat or Les Paul than it does a standard Taylor acoustic guitar.
Perfect.
That's amazing. I said
So
it,
good.
everyone. I said it. That's amazing.
Do a shot.
Thanks, Billy. Thanks, Billy, for hanging out with us, doing some
Yes.
Q&A. Thanks, guys. That was fantastic. I'm
Pleasure.
going to make a mention real quick. Something that I've noticed week over week, and I know I gave everybody in the feed a shout out earlier, but interestingly, Primetime has become a place for people to come hang out and just let everybody know how they feel. And it feels like a family over there. And I've been watching the feed and I've been a little bit quiet, but Tex, we're with you. We hear you, buddy. Our condolences. And I'm so glad you're here week in and week out. It's pretty awesome. All right. You know what time it is. We're going to go into Sharpie's question.
All right.
Billy worked with Chris Sharp for a long time. He's pouring beers tonight. We know he left. We miss him, but we kept Sharpie's question around. Andy, do you have a song?
Some days he goes by BG. You don't want to know William Gill. He answers as well to Beach, but don't ever call him Bill. Here comes Jay's Sharpie's question.
All right. I love it, Andy.
So good.
Okay, I got two questions. I know we're only supposed to have one. One is a real question. One is a yes or no question. So you just got, the first one is rapid fire. You got to say yes or no, Billy. Billy. Well, we'll play good idea, bad idea. You know what? We'll go back to the beginning of the episode. We're going to play Yep Nope with Billy Gill real quick. Billy, Yep Nope. Is it a good idea to skateboard barefoot?
Yep.
No.
Oh, that's a no.
All right. Billy, you can see he did a photo shoot once with us wearing no shoes, skateboarding. And once we posted the picture on Facebook, and the first comment was, worst kind of human ever. And Billy
We
sent
got
it to
so
me.
much hate for that. It was
I
incredible.
know. Billy sent it to me right away. See, we've been hugging haters for a long time. We love it. All right. No, the real Sharpie's question is, Billy, music has done a lot for you in your life. I know this. We've had discussion. Let me ask this question correctly. What has punk rock meant to you in your life?
The short answer to that is I kind of came of age in the early mid '80s. My very first show that kind of just really blew me away, and I happened to be there with all my friends, was Black Flag in 1985, and they were at the peak of their power with Henry Rollins at the helm of the band, and it was fundamentally life-changing for all of my friends that were in the room witnessing that. And I think that era, the greatest thing about that era was the DIY culture, which I think you were part of, Jay. We were young 13, 14, 15-year-old kids making fanzines, and there was no internet. You couldn't figure out, you had to read Maximum Rock and Roll and read the letters to figure out which bands had played in Minneapolis and how the shows were, ordering records through the mail, all the excitement of the back and forth, and gradually growing to expand, to have friends, all across the United States. And that was really, shout out to again, Quicksand and all the bands that they came up with before Quicksand was a thing. It just felt like there was this really exciting secret that all of us little, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids knew about. And it felt like something really special. So I never really lost that enthusiasm, even as my musical taste dramatically broadened out. It felt like it was a secret that we were the only ones that knew about. So,
yeah, that's incredible. Thank you for that answer. Mom, thanks for letting me to go to punk rock shows at St. Andrews Hall in Detroit when I was young. It changed my life.
Now, a little side note, I got that was the Black Flag. The tour was Loose Nut, and my mom was a devout Catholic, still is to this day, and she hated that bright orange shirt that had that logo on the front of it. So my mom was also a seamstress, and that Black Flag Live '85 shirt was my entire world. I knew that my mom disapproved of it, so I would always try to do the laundry myself and make sure that she never got her hands on it. She did get her hands on it one day, and as she was working her way through the laundry, and she cut out the Loose Nut portion of the shirt, my treasure, and sewed a big black rectangle of fabric where it used to say that on the shirt. And of course, when I open the shirt up, I unfurl it in front of myself, and I'm just horrified. So that was a painful memory out of that great show. And I've many years later, I finally was able to forgive my mother for that.
My mom never did that. Thanks for not doing that, Mom. All right. 2 minutes of sports. This is really good. You got a song for us, Andy?
I do.
All right, let's do this.
Jay's favorite part of the show.
It is.
He's talking sports, He's got 100 hats, a bedroom bat. He walks to games when his tire is flat. He knows all the names and who's at bat. But Jay, do you know why there was no joy in Mudville?
Do you?
What?
You know why there was no joy in Mudville? Billy, do you know?
I don't. I do not.
Wow.
Mighty Casey struck out at bat.
Oh, right.
That was 2 minutes of sports.
He stumps us every week with his songs. This is getting crazy.
Dude, you gotta know the Mudville 9.
Got it.
Mighty Casey at bat. Check it out.
Got it. Man, this guy. All right, Billy.
The chat knows.
There's the hat. There we go.
All right. We're not going to talk about the baseball team. We're going to talk about LeBron James. Are you a fan of LeBron James?
Yes, I am.
Do you
Contrary to when he departed for Miami and he did the big reveal on the television show, it kind of single-handedly everybody in Ohio he was the hero, and then it was the hate. It was just, I've never seen anything like it. And through it all, I knew that he wanted rings. He deserves rings, and he wanted rings. And I was in support of him going to wherever there was going to be an organization that would allow him to reach his full potential, which he certainly has. I won't say greatest of all time. I'll say he's definitely headed that way, could be, arguably. And I wanted to see him succeed to the highest apex of his abilities. So I didn't really take it personally. I understood exactly what he was doing. Huge fan.
Okay. And did you welcome him back with open arms?
I did. I sure did.
And were you happy when he beat my Golden State Warriors, who were up 3 or down 3-1? Come on. Were you happy about that?
Yes, I was very happy about that. And, I've seen him, kind of single-handedly in playoff games just win against a whole basketball team by himself. And I've seen that live. My sister actually worked for the Cavs for many, many years. So I had the amazing opportunity to watch him play live, in really good seats. And he's just great. He's a great guy. He's funny. He's engaging, and he's just absolutely incredible on the court. And I don't understand why anybody would hate on somebody with that level of ability.
You can't hate LeBron James. I am not a LeBron James hater. I often root against LeBron James because I think it's fun, and it's fun to do that. But I agree, LeBron James is incredible. Are you happy that he just won a ring with the Lakers?
Yes, I am. Yes,
okay.
I am. I as much as I have, I've got 2 football jerseys here: the LA Rams and the Cleveland Browns. I will never lose or be able to forget the horror of growing up going to Municipal Stadium to watch the Browns play the Steelers. All we did as kids watching Cleveland sports was wait for another star to come in so we could watch Jose Canseco bat, because we didn't, we abjectly lost every season, or we got all the way to the end. And we just, to this day, the Browns will find a way, despite all of the talent, all of the money, to completely fail. So, I've always had an open heart for other teams, because as a kid, we just waited for great players to come and visit the city, watch the game, and be excited about them being there, not about our team.
Billy Gill, I'm really happy that you're from Cleveland, and I'm really happy that you got to experience LeBron James in your life. But I'm going to call you out on something real quick. You cannot root for the Dodgers just because LeBron James wore a jersey on social media. Okay, that's fair and square. Sorry, everybody. You can't do it. All right, 2 minutes of sports. We're done. We're going to do some trivia real quick. Thanks for the talk, everybody. Thanks for hanging in there with us. We got 2 trivia questions tonight. As you know how this works, we're doing a couple more autograph issues of Bob's book. So here you go. We got 2 questions. You know how this works. All right, there's one rule. Gabe O'Brien can't answer the questions. All right, neither can Paul Tobias. They have all the stuff already. They don't need to answer the questions. They know the answers. I swear they have to know the answers. If you answer the question first in the feed, if you are the first person in the feed, we will call your name out, and you will then have to email us at primetime@taylorguitars.com with all your information, and we'll get you the prize.
Answers are already coming in.
By the way, I think that Paul Tobias should list that underwear policy on his website, because I didn't see it there last time I was on his website. So, Paul, you should fully disclose that that underpants policy.
Disclose. All right. Here we go. The answers are already coming in.
90s.
But here's the first question. The first question is, what is the only full-sized signature model guitar that we have in the Taylor line? What is the only full-size signature model that we have in the Taylor line? Urban Ash is not the answer. It's awkward, Billy. We just have to wait for this delay. 814 CE. Nope.
This actually might stump some people.
Signature model, guys. Signature model.
Signature model. What's interesting is someone already posted about it. Billy Gill signature model.
Hunter Platt.
Hunter's back again.
Back again.
Hunter is Jason Metal. Mraz.
The Jason.
Good job, Hunter. Hunter,
Hunter,
got a book coming for you with Bob's autograph on it. Awesome. Good work. All right, Mraz, signature model, Jason Mraz. All right, and the next question. This is a good one. This one's gonna stump most of you. Maybe not. Maybe you'll get it right away. The question is, where is our European headquarters located?
It's a good one. That's
Come
a
That's a good one. Where is our European headquarters located?
What country? What
What
country?
country? What country? Yeah, you're right.
Bart
Bart.
coming through.
Bart coming through. Our dude, Bart. Nice
Our dude,
work.
Bart. Yes.
Nice, Bart. Nice.
Good job, Bart. All right, you
Amsterdam.
guys know the deal. Send us emails and we'll get you. Next week, ladies and gentlemen, we will not be having a show on November 3rd. Something very, very, very important is happening. It's my wife's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
That's very important.
And
Very important. So next week we will not be having a show, but meet us in 2 weeks. You'll get an email about it on the 17th of November. We're going to be talking about some other stuff. It's going to be really fun. We got some great shows coming up. Billy Gill, thank you so much. This is probably the longest show we've ever had, but it was worth it. It's been a blast hanging out with you. You guys are incredible. Thanks for hanging out with us. As always, we appreciate you all. Andy, you want to take it away?
What was it? What was it? It was prime time. It was prime time. What the heck was it? What the heck was that? Well, that was prime time. BG, thanks for hanging on the prime time. He said, go and pet some puppies. It's good to keep in mind. I imagine GS minis underneath the BG tree. Maybe a baby for baby Waylon, but don't forget Jalen, Zay, and me. Or prime time. Not next Tuesday, but the
Not next
Tuesday
Tuesday.
after that. It's prime time. Good night, everybody.
thank you guys for having me. I really enjoyed myself. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.